Welcome to The Explainer. So, let's just jump right in, because today we are unpacking a story that starts out like your classic run-of-the-mill Gothic mystery, and then just absolutely shatters your expectations. Imagine this, right? It's a bleak November day. The fog is so thick it literally makes ghosts out of certainty. Our protagonist, Albion Crowe, arrives at this impossible cliffside house. And I mean impossible. It has angles that trouble the eye and windows that seem to literally multiply when you look away. He's there because his estranged uncle Hieronymus recently passed away. But instead of inheriting a nice little timeshare or maybe a vintage car, Albion inherits a sprawling estate and a terrifying debt.
See, his uncle left behind this incredibly eerie warning: the straight path was never meant for crows. Albion quickly realizes that settling this particular family estate is going to require a physical presence, not just signing some paperwork. The house itself almost feels alive. It's watching him, just waiting for him to accept this burden that's been passed down for 17 generations.
All right, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The impossible inheritance. 2. The door's dark bargain. 3. A network of minds. 4. Exploring probability space. And 5. From barrier to bridge. I do have to warn you, though, we are escalating super fast from a physical haunted house mystery right into mind-bending, multi-dimensional quantum fantasy.
Okay, Section 1. The impossible inheritance. The mystery of the cliffside house.
Let's start with the tangible stuff. Albion meets Mrs. Gallows, who is this ancient housekeeper, basically bound to the very stones of the property. And he starts exploring. Deep inside these geometrically confusing corridors, he finds a vast library. And right in the center stands a freestanding door of dark oak. It's not attached to any wall, and it's covered in these organic symbols. Then a mysterious figure named Phosphor shows up and drops a massive bombshell about its true nature, the threshold. It's not just a piece of wood. It is a literal crack in reality leading into probability space, the place where alternate realities and unmade choices live. And get this, the Crowe family hasn't just been living in this weird house, they've been actively guarding this crack for 17 generations.
Which leads us right into Section 2. The door's dark bargain. The price of keeping reality intact.
Because this door isn't just some passive portal, it demands a really heavy price, and it requires a keeper. If the threshold isn't constantly fed, it'll just burst open, and a chaotic flood of probability will completely wash over our singular reality. We're talking entire regions simultaneously existing and not existing. Why? Because on the other side are the unbecome. These are entities of pure possibility, unchosen paths that hunger endlessly to cross over into solid matter. So the dark bargain here is that the door actually has to feed on human potential, specifically the unmade choices of a singular keeper, just to stay shut.
Which brings us to this staggering number, 47. That is exactly how many years Albion's uncle, Hieronymus, lasted completely alone in that house. For nearly half a century, he just slowly fed pieces of his own consciousness, his own personal might-have-beens, to the door to keep it locked, until he was completely consumed, literally dissolving into infinite probability. And, well, this is the exact fate waiting for Albion.
So Albion is at a brutal crossroad. He can accept the old way, right? Generations of crows slowly destroying themselves in solitary isolation to protect the world. But here's the thing. Albion is a lawyer. He is literally trained to find loopholes. So he decides to completely break this 17-generation cycle and forge a new way. He figures out that the door simply demands multiplicity.
Section 3. A network of minds, distributing the burden of probability.
Albion has this massive breakthrough. Instead of one mind slowly fragmenting, what if he created a quantum paradox? What if he offered the door a multiplicity of minds that actually choose to remain singular? By distributing the burden across several people, they might actually survive. So Albion digs through his uncle's old letters and invites 5 very specific sensitives to the house. Each of them is already fragmenting and perfectly suited to perceive the threshold. We've got Charlotte, who literally sees unchosen selves in mirrors, Thomas, a brilliant mathematician, Delphine, a medium for alternative realities, James, a soldier haunted by 2 timelines of a single battle, and Sarah, a young woman who is institutionalized just for remembering unlived lives.
Together, they establish a completely revolutionary network. Step 1, they form a precise hexagram around the door.
Step 2. Guided by philosopher, they connect their consciousnesses into a shared field, actually feeling each other's thoughts and fears. And Step 3. They successfully distribute the door's immense hunger across all 6 minds. They become 1/6, this beautifully distributed network that gives the door a taste of paradox instead of just another solitary, tragic sacrifice.
Section 4. Exploring probability space, the forge of the unbecome.
So, with the door stabilized, the team transitions from playing defense to active exploration. The companions learn how to extend their minds safely right through the door and into the spaces between. And while they're exploring, Albion communicates directly with the unbecome, and he hears this haunting phrase: "You are not just food, you are an experiment." Talk about a total paradigm shift. They discover the unbecome aren't just these hungry monsters. They're actually a tragic cosmos of souls, the literal unmade choices of humanity, just waiting in pain for reality to evolve. The threshold isn't a prison at all, it's a forge.
But naturally, just as they make this huge breakthrough, disaster strikes. Ask yourself, how do you fight when your physical body is chained? Albion's estranged cousin, Silas Crowe, along with a cult called the Order of Becoming, violently raid the house. They completely sever the companions' mental network, lock them up in separate dungeon cells, and plan to weaponize the threshold to basically reshape global reality to their own greedy desires.
So how on earth do they survive? Well, you fight with your mind. Even while locked away in separate stone cells, the companions manage to grasp just a tiny thread of their mental connection. They make this incredibly bold move to shift their awareness entirely into probability space, completely bypassing their physical restraints. It is so thrilling. They actually use Thomas's quantum mathematics to literally hack reality from the spaces between, collapsing probabilities to pop the locks on their physical chains and outsmarting the order.
And that leads us to Section 5. From barrier to bridge, the ultimate paradigm shift.
So they escape their cells, and Albion realizes that his ancestor Erasmus's original work was actually never finished. The door was never meant to be a permanent barrier requiring human sacrifice. It was always meant to evolve. To stop the order from tearing reality apart, the companions have to take the ultimate leap. Step 1 requires an incredible sacrifice, creating a permanent consciousness anchor directly in the spaces between. Step 2 requires establishing living human bridges back in singular reality. And Step 3 means finally allowing the unbecome partial existence to stabilize the entire structure. Now, this requires a radical new architecture for reality itself. Sarah, James, Albion, and the fragmented soul of Uncle Hieronymus step up and make the ultimate sacrifice. They dissolve into infinite possibilities to become the permanent anchors of the threshold. Meanwhile, Charlotte, Thomas, and Delphine stay behind in the real world to act as bridges, basically keeping their dissolved friends tethered to humanity. With the threshold permanently stabilized by this willing, brand-new architecture, Silas and his cult are suddenly completely powerless. The fully empowered threshold, speaking through phosphor, just easily repels the Order of Becoming, neutralizing their threat for good. And then, the physical cliffside house geometrically shifts, permanently hiding itself from the rest of the world to protect this newly forged bridge.
And that brings us to this absolutely beautiful, emotional conclusion. Like Charlotte says, the threshold is no longer a barrier, it is a bridge. The unbecome finally get a taste of existence, peacefully weaving themselves right into the architecture of reality. No one else is ever going to need to be consumed. The 17-generation curse of the Crowe family is finally over.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating philosophical reflection to end today's explainer. I want you to think about your own might-have-beens. If you actually had the chance to distribute your consciousness, to literally dissolve into probability, and live out every single unmade choice you've ever wondered about, would you take the leap? It's pretty incredible to ponder the weight of our daily choices, isn't it? Keep wondering, keep learning, and hey, thanks so much for exploring this incredible world with me.